Alright, yeah, welcome back to some more Magic Arena, and today we're going back into the best of one queues for the last time in this standard format. But before I get into that, I just want to mention that on Tuesday, i.e. tomorrow, I will actually be sponsored by Wizards of the Coast and taking part in the early access streamer event. So, highly recommend checking out the announcement video that should be already out at this point. It's got a lot of information in there about when I'm starting, but also about when you can submit decks to me, because I will be playing all decks submitted by you guys if you do indeed follow the rules on that particular one. There's not many rules, it's just basically include Eldraine cards, things like that. But yeah, I'm excited to try out half the new cards, so if there's something that you want me to play, then you can go over to the announcement video. I'll leave a link down to that in the description below, and I'll also leave it in a card in the top right-hand corner as well, so there's plenty of ways to find it, but yes, I'm very excited for that. But without further ado, let's get into the meat and potatoes of the video. Today we're going to be playing a deck that I didn't expect to actually do as well as it has. This is an Orzhov Amulet deck. So Primal Amulet is a 4-mana artifact. It says instants and sorceries spells you cast cost 1 less to cast, and whenever you cast your 4th instants and sorcery when Primal Amulet is out, then you get to flip it into Primal Wellspring. You tap it to add 1 mana of any colour, but if that mana is spent on an instant or sorcery, you also get to copy that spell and choose new targets for the copy. So basically, we get to double up all of our spells. So the idea, for those who have seen Amulet decks before, is pretty much the same kind of thing. We're going to be using cantrips like Revitalize, which gains 3 life and draws a card. Ritual of Rejuvenation gains 4 life, draws a card. And we've even got Consecrate, Consume, the Consecrate side, exiling a card from a graveyard and drawing a card. So we're going to be cycling through our deck as much as possible. We're going to be trying to hold on to these until after we play the Primal Amulet, because we want to use them to flip our cards. And then once we've flipped to Primal Amulet and we've got the Wellspring, if we use the Wellspring mana on any of these, we're actually using it kind of like a divination effect. So this 1 card draws 2 cards, so we're going up in cards, essentially. Most of the deck, though, is based around a little bit of control. We've got Golden Demise, 3 mana for a board wipe. Says all creatures get -2/-2 until the end of the turn, and then the rest is irrelevant. We want to do this particular one against our opponent's early game aggression in case we come up against mono red or something like that. We got Mortify, which kills creatures or enchantments. We also have Vraska's Contempt as well, which is not an ideal removal spell, but it is an effective one for sure. 4 mana instant, exile creature or planeswalker, gain 2 life. Primarily here for planeswalker removal, but as a side note, gains a little bit of life and kills creatures. And finally, we've also got Revival Revenge as our win con. Should mention Planar Cleansing destroys all non-land permanents. Want to be casting that when we've got 3 counters on Primal Amulet, so it flips as it resolves, which is pretty cool. But yeah, killing all permanents, very important. So that's essentially all the removal. The win cons, as I was about to get to, is Revenge. 4 white and black sorcery speed, double your life total, and then target opponent loses half their life, rounded up. So the idea of this deck is to gain an absurd amount of life to the point where our opponent will probably deck themselves trying to get rid of our life total. We also have 3 copies of Sanguine Sacrament, 2 white and X. Instant speed, you gain twice X life, and then you put it on the bottom of your library, which means you actually cannot mill yourself in this deck, which is pretty cool. We will always have a Sanguine Sacrament at the bottom of our deck, so when we get to the bottom 3 cards, it's always going to be Sacrament, and we basically take the entire turn to just gain loads and loads and loads and loads of life. However, if it turns out that gaining infinite life effectively is not going to be good enough, maybe because our opponent has an alternative win con, or maybe Planeswalker ults as their win con, something like that. Then we also have Command the Dreadhorde as well. 6 mana sorcery, you get to choose any number of target creatures and or Planeswalker cards in graveyards, and then it deals damage equal to the converted mana cost to us, equal to those cards, and then you put them onto the battlefield under your control. So it's mass reanimation, essentially, at the cost of life. We're going to be blowing up everything our opponent's doing with Planar Cleansing, and wiping with Golden Demise, and Mortifies and things like that. So there should be an absurd amount of things in the yard for us to just basically gain too much card advantage on our opponent using Command the Dreadhorde. And hopefully, theoretically, we should have enough life for the life loss on this card to just be completely irrelevant. thanks to Revival Revenge and Sanguine Sacrament and everything else. Basically, most cards in this deck gain us life in some form or another, so we should have a reasonable life total, and if we don't, then hopefully the things that we take out of the graveyard will make up for the lack in life. But yeah, that's essentially the deck. The mana base speaks for itself. We've got 6 plains, 6 swamps, 4 Golden Shrines as our shock land, 4 Isolated Chapels, and 4 Temple of Silence. We're running 4 Scrylands because it's very important to get the Primal Amulet down as soon as possible. You want to take at least your first mulligan if you don't have a Primal Amulet, most of the time anyway, because this card is kind of crucial to your game plan. I've been surprised with the win rate on this deck, to be honest, which is probably going to change the moment we actually get into the gameplay while I'm recording. But yesterday I actually used this to do my dailies and went 4-0, which is not what I expected, to be honest. I've played black-white Amulet decks in the past and they've not quite done what I want. They are a little bit of a meme. But to be honest, this one's been doing right. I don't know if it's just because I've been drawing well, but we'll see. But yeah, one last hurrah for the Primal Amulet before it rotates out of Standard. Hope you guys enjoy this one. If you do, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe for some more content like this in the future. You won't get content exactly like this in the future, as I mentioned, because these cards are rotating out. But I'm sure we'll probably return to this in Historic at some point in the future, nonetheless. But yes, thanks very much for watching, guys, and let's get into the games. Okay, we're in. We've got a metric ton of cantrips, so it's quite tempting to actually take it on this hand. If our opponent doesn't play anything on turn 2 that goes into the graveyard, though, these Consecrates don't work as effectively as maybe they should. But we can also exile from our own graveyard as well, so from turn 3 onwards we could exile our own cards. But I'm going to take the mull on this one, and, well, this hand's fine, I guess. Work our way up to a Plane of Cleansing, shouldn't be too difficult. I'm going to dump a land here, since we're drawing so many cards. And we're also on the draw as well, so... Godless Shrine tapped. Our opponent is on a black deck of some sort. Probably Grixis based on the sleeves and the emblem. I don't really know. That seems pretty interesting, don't you think? But they've got the old card styles. Kite Sail, Freebooter. Okay, help yourself. Literally nothing they can take here that bothers me. And we'll wait until they take it, until after, so we can get an unknown card on our Revitalize cantrip. You want to hold them a little bit close to your chest, because you want to have something to fire off after the Primal Amulet. Takes care of the Planar Cleansing. Okay, we're a little way away from that, but fair enough, I suppose, if that's the way you want to do it. Alright, opponent goes to end step, and we're going to redraw. We got a Plane of Cleansing anyway. So we're just going to go land and pass. I might try for some just natural top decks for a little while, because this hand has only got, well, 3 of the ideally 4 spells that I need for my amulet. But I could actually cast it next turn, so maybe I'm going to go with a Ritual of Rejuvenation here, since it's the most expensive cantrip in my hand to dig for the amulet. We didn't quite find it, so I'm just going to go tap land and say go. We're on 26, and our opponent's playing mono black, so, you know, I don't think they'll be able to take care of the amulet once we play it. And they certainly won't be able to take it from our hand, because it's going to be the first thing that I play. So, yeah, we're just going to take all the damage here. And I think I'm just going to start just making land drops and passing. Definitely don't want to draw an amulet when I can't cast it, because they have freebooters and duresses and things like that. But I am pretty close to just Planar Cleansing this board away, and just getting back a Planar Cleansing anyway. But I think I would honestly wait a little longer than that. Alright, so they're going to be making that pretty big. So we're going to draw a card. Yeah, so this is the reason why you do not want to take a hand, ideally, without an amulet, because we're really struggling to find one. So we're just going to exile a card and hopefully find it. And we have, okay. And we got a golden demise. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to play down my Primal Amulet before they can freeboot it or duress it out of my hand. Mono black can't really deal with artifacts, so we're in a good spot there. And we're just going to cantrip our way up to a flipped amulet. And probably Planar Cleansing when we get the time. I think with the amount of life gain we've got, we have more than enough time to beat this Knight of the Ebon Legion. Also, Consume is going to be decent enough to kill this, because he's going to be pumping it to a point where we can actually just make them sacrifice it. So I'm probably going to Consume on my next turn. Command the Dreadhorde, very nice. Well, that's probably our win con at this rate, but this late into the game, still on 15, I'm liking where we're at. So we're going to consume the Knight of the Ebon Legion, so we're going to gain 3 life. And get rid of their big threat. This means I don't really have to Planar Cleansing anytime soon. I wouldn't really want to do it until they've substantially added to the board, honestly. We could go for a Ritual of Rejuvenation, I suppose. Might as well try it, I guess. Not too much reason not to, honestly. So if we got another Revitalize there, we would have flipped our Amulet. Yeah, so we're not running any creatures in our deck, mostly for that reason. We actually blank all of our opponent's removal, which is pretty nice. Let's go with the Temple of Silence, see what we're going to draw next. Something to copy, maybe fill up our deck a little bit. Could go with the Sanguine Sacrament, but because we've already got one, I'm just going to put it to the bottom. From there, I guess it's Golden Demise and just get rid of the board and flip our Amulet. Hold this Sacrament until after we can double it. So, Wellspring flips, opponent's stuff dies for us to command the Dreadhorde it later, and we're just going to pass because we're going to go for a full Sanguine Sacrament, no doubt. Alright, well, they're freebooting. Doesn't really matter what they take here. We don't really need the Sacrament. We'll get that back, no problem. So, command the Dreadhorde under the freebooter. And, well, it's a really bad idea to not commit to the board, because I got some good stuff. Let's just play another Primal Amulet. We'll pass the turn. We got 21 life. It's 21 turns if our opponent doesn't want to do anything. They're going to need like 3 discard spells for it to matter, honestly. So, yeah, they're slow rolling. We're slow rolling. Let's all slow roll. We don't really want to exile any of their creatures because that Command the Dreadhorde is tasty. So I'm going to go into my own graveyard with a Consecrate here. And doubled up, it means that we're going to draw 2 cards. So let's just get rid of Revitalize. We have no graveyard synergy whatsoever. So exiling our own cards is perfectly fine. So, draw a card. Oh. We selected the same one. I guess you gotta be careful about that, because I don't believe it even highlighted anything there. That sucks. So we missed out on a card draw there. Should be very careful. I mean, I could have avoided it by targeting something that wasn't named exactly what I named, but there was another Revitalize in here. I don't know. I thought they'd gotten around to highlighting those things. Here's what it is, I suppose. Alright, so with the cost reduction, we've got 6, 7, 8 on our 9 for our Sanguine Sacrament. Let me just tap this just to make sure if I do the math wrong, at least it taps that. So let's gain 18 twice. Put a counter on our Amulet. Again, not in any rush to kill my opponent's stuff. We've basically won the game at this point. There's nothing they can really do. And we're just waiting for a flipped Amulet, and then we can do, like, Revenge tripled, something like that. Would work quite nicely. Vraska's Contempt I'm not really interested in using. I like my opponent's stuff right where it is. So let's take the damage. We got a big life buffer here, so... Ooh, opponent just passes. Not even gonna Not even gonna pump. Damn. Damn. Alright. Yeah, we're just looking for, like, Lilianas and things like that, so I'm holding my contempt for that. Because that would be pretty grim. We would lose to something like that. So there goes the pumping. I might kill an 11 now. No, I'm gonna take it. There's no reason not to. It's only 11 damage. We are whiffing a little bit, though. Golden Demise is way too late. We can do a -4/-4 on that because of the Primal Wellspring, so it pumps up the value on there. Yeah, it looks like I'm just going to be contempting this Knight of the Ebon Legion at this rate. So 11's fine for the first hit or two, but after that, really need our opponent to commit some more to the board, and they're not going to do that if they've got a mana sink. So, let's just kill it. There we go. Alright. Land for our opponent and passes. We get another contempt, so we just pass. Again, not in a rush to do anything whatsoever. We could probably take our opponent's stuff here, but it's just not game winning, so we're just not going to fire off a Command the Dreadhorde for no reason. I'll just take a 30th of my life and move on. That's a pretty good draw. So, Revitalize is a draw 2. Been waiting for a cantrip so that we can have options for quite some time. So, Amulet is flipped. And there's Revenge. Alright, so we can wait on that one until we got both Wellsprings open. I mean, we could fire it off now, but I just don't see the need to. I think I'll just triple Revenge and see where we go from there. Eldest Reborn. Okay. That might be worth a Planar Cleansing. So, take one. And when I say it's worth a Planar Cleansing, it's really... It's not scary at all. It's basically just a 2-2 or a 1-2. But, opponent's not committing into this board, and it's just getting worse and worse for them. So, let's double our life total 3 times and halve our opponent's life total 3 times. So they go to 10, then they go to 5, and then it's rounded up. So they go to 2, sorry, yeah. Alright, and yeah, it's just Planar Cleansing. I mean, we're discarding a card on the Eldest Reborn next turn anyway, so let's get rid of a cleansing, move on. What do you do now? We're at 272, and you're dead. Alright. Our opponent held on to all the stuff that could have won them the game. That being said, they were staring down 2 Planar Cleansings, so they're in an impossible situation, but still. We're at 1,088. Works for me. Yeah, a lot of the times, playing around a board wipe, if you know it's there, it's not really a good idea to play around it by not playing anything, because if you don't play anything, I tend to not have any incentive whatsoever to actually play the board wipe. So I'm just going to keep holding on it and taking 1 for 30 odd turns until I find exactly what I need, because I was not in the back foot by any means. I was not struggling to win the game. All I needed to do is bide my time, and that's exactly what I did. Our opponents couldn't afford to bide their time, but they were doing it anyway, and that's why they lost. So, you know, cool. 1-0, next game. Okay, we're in, and we got the Amulet. We don't really have the cantrip hand that I'd like. In fact, these two are basically dead cards for a very long time, so this is a 5, but honestly, when it has Amulet, we're going to keep it. I would keep a 5 that has an Amulet and 3 lands in it, so I'm happy with that. And Revitalize is a good start. Alright, so we do want to, like, hoard all of our cantrips with this hand. We want to build them up so that this Amulet wins us the game. And we're looking for, I guess, Planar Cleansing at this point. I'm not really sure. This looks like a Nissa deck. Nullhide Ferox. The game is on. Oh. Ah, had we been on the play, that would have been beautiful. Would have kept them off that Ferox and probably won us the game, but it's just not going to do that here. We can get rid of a decent amount of damage by using it anyway, and we are going to do that. But still facing down 6 points a turn is annoying for sure. So let's go with the Golden Demise and get some points off the board. Next turn we go with the Amulet, and then we try to flip it, essentially. From there, we're digging for Planar Cleansing. We've pinched our opponent's mana sufficiently enough, I would say. And there's Mortify. Okay, so Amulet can afford to take one more hit from this Ferox. And from there, we can then even go for our life gain stuff and maybe take an additional hit. As long as our opponent doesn't have a naturalized effect, we're okay. But knowing my opponent, they're the one person who runs one. We'll see. Steel Leaf Champion. Alright, so this Mortify does need to be used. There's no doubt about that. Oh, there's Planar Cleansing. That's beautiful. Alright, so let's Revitalize. So we're not quite dead to Nullhide Ferox unless they've got pump spells or any kind of auras. You tend to see it a fair bit. So I could go with the Ritual of Rejuvenation for another 4 life, Mortify the Steel Leaf Champion. Puts us to 13. I think we can't die to most stuff at that point. So let's kill Steel Leaf. And let's Ritual of Rejuvenation. We're also set up to Planar Cleansing to flip the Amulet as well, so we can go Golden Shrine tapped, Planar Cleansing. If they commit something to the board here, then we get a 2-for-1. And our Command the Dreadhorde looks pretty tasty at that point. So they got 4 mana. They're just going to get in for 6. We can still take one more hit, but as we mentioned, don't really want to take that risk. So this is going to flip the Primal Amulet and get rid of 2 permanents. So I'm very happy about that. Transform, please. And go for the tap land here. Hasty Ceratops on 5 won't kill us. It will put us in a pretty awkward position, but next turn I think we're just going to go back up to a tasty life total with the doubled Sanguine Sacrament. So we'll see what they can do. Once we've got a nice life total, then this graveyard looks pretty game-winning to me. Honestly, I think I'd take most of that, if not all of it. Not entirely sure about the Nullhide Ferox, because it kind of nerfs our deck to a certain degree. Ooh, Biogenic Ooze. Okay. Can we find something for that? No? Okay. Well, let's gain a load of life. Let's see how much we're getting here. 3, 6. So let's gain 24 life. And we're up to 31. We got a Biogenic Ooze that we have to worry about a little bit, but we're only taking 6 here and we're getting everything out of our opponent's graveyard. Ideally, I'd love to be able to kill the Biogenic Ooze and take that back as well. That would be nice. Voracious Hydra. Doubled. Alright. And we get double Vraska's Contempt, which is something we can fire off on these 2 here. Then we're only taking 4. With Biogenic Ooze getting progressively bigger, it's going to get bigger than what my opponent's got in their graveyard at the moment. So I think I will take the double Contempt. We'll do that before they have a chance to have, like, Veil of Summer, because it does give hexproof from black. So we want to kill Voracious Hydra. And we want to kill Biogenic Ooze. It's not ideal. We are exiling. We'd prefer to destroy, so a Mortify would have been a lot nicer. But we get what we're given. And a Pelt Collector for our opponent. Do they have a second card? They might have been holding... Ooh, Blanchwood Armor. Okay, it's a 6/6. And we get a Primal Amulet, which we can put down. Yeah, might as well. Primal Amulet and Command the Dreadhorde. Let's just empty their graveyard. So we'll have a Shifting Ceratops, a Ferox, a Steel Leaf, a Llanowar Elves. Top 4 cards of your library, put a creature or land from among them on top. I don't really want that per se, but I'm going to take it for the body. And it does double, but the double's just not going to... We'll just decline. So we go to 10. And honestly, I'm going to fail to find. And our opponent scoops it up. Yeah, I don't really want to land on top because I want action. And yeah, we've got enough to block the Pelt Collector there, no matter how many lands they put into play. And yeah, we're good to go. Ooh, the store lit up. Why is the store lighting up? What's changed? Is this new? I don't really know. I guess it's new. I don't know. Things are glittering at me anyway. I'm pretty sure that's the only new thing. But it doesn't feel very new. I don't know. Maybe they're just trying to trick me into thinking, oh, that's new, I might want to buy that. Which I don't. I don't, Wizards. Sorry. Next game. Alright, we're in, and we don't have an ideal amount of cantrips, but we do have an ideal amount of lands-ish, and we have our Primal Amulet, so we're going to take this one. We do want to see another land so we can maybe mortify our opponent's early game aggression if they're into that kind of thing. Temple of Silence. I would love to draw one of them. Instead we get a Planar Cleansing, so we could be in a little bit of trouble here. We need our opponent to play something that allows our Consecrate to come online. But short of a Duress, which would be really bad for us. There's not really much they can play here, so... Oh god, come on. Alright, so our first game loss looks to be down to Mana Screw, unfortunately. We cannot really afford to fall behind, and we're just not drawing good cards. Come on. One land, please. He's done it, and it's a good land. Alright, give me a fourth land. That is not a fourth land, so we're going to bottom that. We don't really want to see it regardless. And pass the turn. Fourth land means Primal Amulet. I will also happily accept a cantrip into a land.
I'm gonna make you suffer.
A Kaya.
You're not welcome here anymore.
Kaya doesn't really bother me. It does, to a certain extent, shut off Consecrate. But if they play something into their yard, they're not likely to exile it. They're looking for creatures, I think, so I'm just not going to give them too much to exile before I Planar Cleansing the Kaya away anyway. We just want to dodge artifact removal, which they shouldn't really be running. But I think they maybe have a D-Spark. That would do it.
Pack your bags and hit the road.
Ticks up and passes. Alright. So, what we can do is we can Sanguine Sacrament. And it doesn't really matter if we shock ourselves or not, because we just gain 2 off of the land anyway, so let's just do it. X4 Sacrament. Doesn't go into our graveyard, so no fuel for Kaya. And we get a counter on our Amulet. Planes for our opponent, ticks up the Kaya for no value. Currently ulting at 0 damage, pretty good. And there's a Vraska's Contempt. I'm okay with that. We could just consume for 0 value. Maybe we just Revenge, I'm not sure. Gives them a thing to exile, which is less than ideal. I think we just Contempt the Kaya on their turn. We don't want to do it now, because they might play something much worse, like a Liliana. Something like that. You never know. So, yeah, they get to tick up and do nothing. They've basically played a 3-mana do nothing, which is cool. So we're going to play a 3-mana get rid of your Kaya. And that even opens up the Consecrate on our Contempt now. Into a Revitalize to flip Amulet. That's pretty good. Alright, transform the Amulet. And we got a Ritual to draw cards off of the Amulet. So it's all working out. So let's draw 2 cards. There's another Revitalize. And another Amulet. I'm going to take the Amulet. Save the Revitalize until we can use it on the Wellspring to draw 2 cards. Not sure if gaining life is entirely relevant here. I imagine their hand is, yeah, jam-packed full of creature removal. So we should have them here. We'll probably take their Lilianas and their Kayas and kill them with those. On our Command the Dreadhordes. Or just gain infinite life, and as long as they don't have something like infinite damage to deal, we should be okay as well. Yeah, I think I'm just going to gain double life. Let's see if that makes them scoop. You just never know, right? Let's find out. So we're going to gain double life twice. We could wait on this so we can double life 3 times. But I'm curious as to whether or not that actually makes them scoop. Us being at 156 and then being at 5. Yeah, it does. Alright, so we managed to save a little bit of time by assuming they would actually scoop to that play. I think if I had long game potential, though, I would probably just Revitalize to draw 2 cards there and move on, but they would have kept playing to maybe possible outs. They're just not interested in that, and we win another game. This deck's sweet. This deck is sweet. Like, I'm not playing it in ranked, so, you know, I'm sure there are a lot of decks that can shut me down, like Narsets and Hand Disruption. All of those seem pretty grim to me, 3 Fairy. But this deck in the unranked queue doesn't actually really matchmakers against those things, so that's why it's kind of got this decent win rate. So, yeah, don't assume that this is going to win your FNM by any means, but in the unranked queue it seems to be perfectly set up for me, to be honest. So maybe it's perfectly set up for you, I don't know. But let's go for one last game, shall we? Okay, we're in, and we got a temple to find our 3rd land, double amulets, we're a little bit discard protected, and we got some removal, so yeah, I'm happy with this one. Temple looking for a land. I'm not going to take the Golden Demise, it could be useful. Hello, opponent. Let me give them a minute to... okay. To not play red. If they play red, I don't say hello. That's my rule. Alright, looks like maybe mono blue tempo, which feels like an auto-lose kind of situation. We'll have to see on that one. Godless Shrine, okay, so we're just going to upkeep and mortify them on their turn, means that they've got to use their counter magic on their turn, and then they're not adding anything. Maybe we can shock in for the consume at that point. Wow, they just let it go. Huh. So... oh, okay. Not what I expected it to be. Let's see if they commit. It's probably blue-white flyers with Curious Obsession then, so maybe we see something like... I was thinking an Empyrean Eagle, but yeah, we're on flyers. Not blue tempo. And favourable wins should mean that this Primal Amulet sticks and shall stay stuck. Short of them bouncing it with Blink of an Eye or something like that, I don't think we've got too much to worry about. And yeah, this is definitely a ideal damage because I win kind of situation, so Revenge should win us the game here. The most likely to deck themselves from Curious Obsession before they ever get enough damage to kill us, should we get our combo going anyway. Storm Fleet Aerialist. Alright. Well, we've got the protection, so let's just take the Mortify and hit the Healer's Hawk, get rid of the card draw, pump our squad a little bit, and I'm thinking of using Consecrate, but Consume might also be a good call, honestly. Yeah, I'm going to take the Consecrate, because if we get like a Revitalize, we're set up to Planar Cleansing. Let's get rid of the Curious Obsession in there. Graveyard. Again, we've got Command the Dreadhorde in our deck, so we don't really want to be exiling any of their creatures, necessarily. And yeah, we're just going to go tap land. Revival, unfortunately, is only our graveyard. I really wish that it was each graveyard. It would be maybe a bit too overpowered, to be honest, though, at that point. I'm not sure. But life gain on its own is not usually enough to win you a game. Let's go land and Primal Amulet. If they've got Quench, we can play around it. Alright, well. we are set up to do a revenge, I guess. Taking 4. It's not a great revenge. I'd prefer some cantrips like Revitalize. Or a Mortify. That works for me. So let's get rid of the Aerialist. And now that we've got Primal Amulet on 3, I'm comfortable using Planar Cleansing. Do I want to use it now to get rid of the favorable wins? I think I could probably avoid doing that, knowing I'm flipping my Amulet for a double revenge. And they haven't really countered anything up until this point. It's not to say that they won't. But I feel pretty confident I can get away with that. So they might have flash creatures. I think I'm going to go with the revenge and flip my Amulet. I'm not sure, though. I'm not sure. It's greedy to want to keep the Primal Amulet on 1. I mean, maybe you shouldn't have even bothered playing it altogether for this exact dilemma. But I kind of expected to draw some cantrips and not have to worry about it. This one being on 3 instead. Nice. Nice. It's almost as though you could win if I make a mistake, opponent. So I'm going to take my time. Yeah, this only puts me up to 12. I don't really like it. Flash creatures are Spectral Sailor. They're going to be 3/3s. I'm going to take the Planar Cleansing, I think, and flip my Amulet. I hate to do it, but I think 2 favorable wins is probably a little too much. So if they've got Spectral Sailors, they're now only 1/1s. And I can go up to basically my starting life total on this Primal Wellspring. And guarantee at least a little bit of value on the Primal Wellspring doubled there as well. They've had enough. And so be it. Looks like taking your time and making the correct play is indeed the best way to play Magic. Who knew? Alright guys, well that is going to do it for today's episode. I hope you guys enjoyed this one. If you did, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe. And don't forget to check out the channel announcement. As I mentioned, there's a link in the description below, as well as a card in the top right-hand corner. You can click that little button there, and it'll take you to the video that I'm mentioning. If you have any Throne of Eldraine decks that you want me to play throughout the week, then make sure to go over to that video for more details on that. But thank you very much for watching, guys. Thank you very much for supporting the channel enough for us to get sponsored by Wizards of the Coast as well. It means the absolute world to me that I'm able to do that kind of thing for you guys. So I really appreciate it. Hope you've enjoyed, and I'll see you all next time. Bye-bye.